just because. So here's what's happened through the years. Things. I mean, like we've had some packets and we've customized them, and then we'll give people templates and kind of in the heat of the moment, like critical stuff has gotten taken out of it. And I was looking at the packet and I was like, oh man, we can't send it out like this. So what I'm trying to do is just get everybody on the same page as to how they should actually really look. With the packets, client packets. So the Burris packets are different from the ones that we do for JCLG. Okay, so just keep that in mind. But a couple things you got to remember when you're doing these. One, they got to look professional, and when they look professional, it's got to look like actual business letters. You know, everything's got to be 12-point font, Times New Roman. I probably said all this last week, and it just has to look properly formatted. Like there's no shortcuts when doing the packets. You know what I mean? Like, and then you also have to read it every time, right? Because while we usually do employment cases, sometimes we do a school case. We just did a DMV case. We're doing one. Ian's doing one where the woman is just like alleging medical malpractice, where we're getting medical records. So you got to read it every time. So let me just show you things to watch out for. And, I'll start reading them closer, but I'm kind of relying on, you guys. I mean, you guys are really good, but, sometimes people do stuff heat of the moment, but like, we just got to try to limit those mistakes. All right. So here we go. So let me know. Can everybody see my screen? Can
Yes.
somebody confirm? All right. Can you guys see the packet? All right. So look, here's what it looks like. Okay. We're starting on the first page. I'm going to go through everything just so you got it. So first of all, this is what you got to have when your proof of service should look like this. It should have everything. Okay. Also, I want people to use their own address. Don't you like? I'm never even at that address. We want you to get the response. So don't use your address here. All right. So if it's Alice, it's 7339 Holly Street, Oakland, California 94621. If she's sending it out or whatever it is, okay. And also you're gonna mail it and you're gonna email it. So you have to click mail and email. Here, you always got to have somebody that you send it to. Even if we don't know, like we're sending it to HR or you got to have somebody here. And then if you had multiple people, different offices, you can either put a name. If it's the same office, you can put a name right there. Or if it's a different office, you do another address line. All right. But you got to have all this stuff. Letter of representation. You have to have an informal request. You have to have a records request pursuant to, right? Records request pursuant to the Freedom of Information Act. Preservation of evidence. And let's call it this. Like we got to make these very generic, so we're not doing a lot of editing. All right, and this is also we just want to say formal request for records. Okay. All right. This would be notice, and I'm gonna send this out to everyone. So just check it out. Okay. Notice of potential fines for failure to respond to provide, and let's just say respond to records requests. Then authorization for release of confidential records. And we keep these generic, but you need all these and you want them in this order, okay? So let's go back up and look. And again, I'm gonna send this to you guys. And again, put your own address here, not this address. I'll never receive it. It'll cause problems going forward. Your own address. You are the clerk. You're working remote. That's your place of business. Just left over from when we used to actually use that home office. We don't even use it anymore. All right. So the date has to be written out September 11th, 2023. All right. This is what a business letter looks like. This is a professional business letter, a legal letter, a space, and then the person's address, the address line. You don't put their email. You don't put their number. When you have a suite number or department or room, it's on the same line as the address. It's comma the address. Okay. All right. Then a carriage return and then needs to be capitalized. Notice of representation. The only time you're going to change it is where you change the name of the person. Okay. Then you need an attention line. You have to change that. Attention, colon. Never ever put a comma. All right. That's unprofessional. Because if you learn how to write business letters, right, the official way to address someone is with a colon. A comma means you're sending a more personal letter. Okay. So you use the colon. Okay. So this is going to be pretty much the same. All right. And really, we could just say, inform you that, I represent, the above client. Okay. Based on my clients, and to keep this generic so we don't have to change this. My understanding. Okay. So that's cool. All right. We have the above client here. And typically you're just, and then after that, you're putting in the statement of facts, and then this part. Sorry, I'm trying to find my cursor. And then this part is the same, and then you can put my name. That's fine. All right. So moving on to the records request. All right. So same thing. Date. There's space here. There's space here. The address block is the same. Space. Informal records request. It's an informal records request. Then you got the line, and then you got Rhonda Brown, or whatever the name. All right. Purposes letters to make an informal request for our client's personnel file, including but not limited. All right. So this is specifically for employment records. All right. All right. So you got to change this. This was a DMV case. You'd say for DMV records. If it was a school case, we want the student records in the handbook. But you have to read this and change this. Please don't send one for school that has a request for employment records. All right. So really, I would say for my clients, personnel file, employment records, including but not limited to, and then he's got everything in here. So that's good, Ian. And note that the spaces here starts a new paragraph, all that stuff. Space. All right, that's a professional legal, right? And then we got the enclosure. All right, we got the enclosure. We should have the enclosure here because we have enclosures. We're enclosing all of these records. All right. So don't forget that. All right. Then we get to the next one. So all this stuff is the same. All right. So now look at the records request. This is how we do a professional legal thing. Is capitalized colon. Records request pursuant to, right? And then it's going to be the same one, right? Public Records Act. You got to cite the code, and then you got the name, and then attention. All right. And then we can just say the above client here. And then you got to make sure that the subject and verb agree here. Our client, not clients. All right. So please read that. Like, let's not make those mistakes. Our client, because you just have one client, sustain injuries. So really, I mean, I think in this case, so yeah, like she didn't suffer any physical injuries. I mean, I don't think she's alleging that in this case, right? But yeah, and we don't need that. Well, you got to edit this line, all right? Then you got to look at the next line. This is a formal request to provide us with names and parties from your were involved in the incident. Okay, well, I guess that's why you did that. And let's see. Let's go back. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of, let's take this out for now. This is a formal request, right? They're involved in the incident. We're requesting these documents. Okay, so that's good, and you got to make sure you cite the Records Request Act. So you're doing that. This might be school, so you might have to look up and see what the school citation is or whatever it is. But don't just, well, actually, no. This could just stay the same because it's just the Records Request Act pursuant to that. And all this looks good. Ian edited it. So this copy that Ian edited for this employment case, this will work because it's just a Public Records Request Act, Public California Records Request. All right. So now freedom of information, right? So everything's the same. And you want to cite the Freedom of Information Act, and then Rhonda Brown, and then, now here he has law offices of John Burris. So our office. So make sure you read that. Like, take out.
Send a new version where I fix that.
Yeah, this is probably old version, but it's fine. I mean, Ian, you like, you're sharp. You catch everything, and I know that's probably an older version. Like, we'd edited it so much more since then. But I'm doing it just for the sake of everybody, so they can kind of see some of the mistakes. But you could do a Control F. I just did a Control F, and I could do like Burris, and then we could do that, right? Right, and we can go through there and search all those. But anyway, that's just a sample of that. Okay, so let's go back. All right, so you see, everybody sees the pitfalls. This is the Freedom of Information Act, right? Make sure that matches up. Like, things like that, you got to change. Like, it needs to look good. Like, like the workmanship, it's got to look pleasing to the eye, right? So we are making a records request pursuant to the freedom. Okay, so that's good. And then just cut and paste the but don't, you got to read through and just make sure and look at it, make sure it looks professional, like that type of thing. All right. And we can't forget enclosures. Like, all of them need enclosures. Okay. Okay. So I think that works. Closures. All right. So the next one is, we want a preservation of evidence. Okay. This is not the preservation of electronic evidence, but we want preservation of evidence. Okay. So again, this is subject to the Cal Business and Professions Code. We got the code and then the name. All right. Please be advised that this, constitutes. All right. And then really we should have, so I just cut and paste that. And we should say, never ever put a bold, like some people, if I didn't tell you, they'd just be like, yeah, I'll just bold it and leave it there. No, don't do that. All right. So again, you want to make this look professional, get everything all lined up. Make sure that's there. You got the proper, yeah. So anyway, proper spaces and paragraphs. All right. Everything looks good there. It's so, like, so this says May 6th. I don't know if this incident took place on May 6th, but we'll just take that out. We'll take out this whole line. I think I told Ian to include it before, but we'll just leave it there and leave it vague. Like we don't have to. In the Burris cases, we kind of identify the incident, which is fine. But here, we don't always have like a solid date, so you can take that out. Okay, so let's go next one. Request to prefer evidence. Okay, so Natalie created this at the beginning of the pandemic. She did it for the Burris cases, and it was typically for a federal, like when we're in federal court, but now we're in state court. So now, this is Natalie's letter, except it's just modified to make it a preservation of evidence, right? You cite the code and then the name, but it's a long citation. We have it down here. All right. You always got to say we somewhere in the body pursuant to preservation of it. All right. And everything else here should be good to go. It's just talking about any. This is a pretty general letter, which it should be. And reading through it, this is fine because it's addressing really just the electronic evidence. And then again, we have enclosures.
And I just
Go ahead, Natalie.
James?
Yeah, go ahead. Please speak.
Yeah, just saw that the company, can you hear me?
Yeah, please speak.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, now we can.
Yeah, so I just saw in the paragraph, Adobe and Word and Word Perfect should be capitalized
Okay, which
as
paragraph,
words.
Natalie?
It was in the, it was towards the bottom, like the last second.
Okay. Yep, that's professional right there. You want it to look professional, be professional. But I think once we make these, but please don't you got to look out for stuff like that. All you guys, all you guys on this team, that's why you're on it, because you guys can catch shit like that, like Natalie just did. So catch it, yeah. So that's cool. Again, I'm gonna send this to everybody, even though I think with Ian we upgraded this. This is pursuant to pretty much employment. Okay, so now, so I'm gonna talk about this notice for failure to comply. All right. So this is specifically edited for employment. But to be honest, we could just do one this is just for employment. So if I was to take this whole thing, employment is one thing, and that's because we do so many employment cases. But we could take this out. And the Cal Business and Professions Code would cover what we need. So I'm going to make this change. And I'm going to say this. And honestly, we can do it like this. Okay, that's it. That'll cover the non-employment cases. So literally, we can just take this. If you're doing a non-employment case, you can just take this out, and then you can customize it here. All right. I mean, really, we don't need any further customization. We'll just say, so here's what we'll do in the so we got the records. Okay, here we're gonna come back to here, but we need to change this. And we'll do it like this. And this should make things faster, so you kind of know. So now you just got to remember to take, if it's not a labor case, like an employment case, take this out and take out that whole thing. And then you got this one will cover you. This Cal Business and Professions Code. All right. So the last thing is this is authorization for confidential release of records. All right. So this is from the Burris. This is from the Burris packet. So we don't need this first paragraph if it's an employment case, right? So we don't we're not asking for like chiropractor and so that should just get taken out, and then we go all wage. All right. All employment and personnel records include, okay. But if it's not an employment case, like you gotta look at that, because if it's not an employment case, if it's like, something else, you can actually just take this out. You can take out this whole thing right here, and you can just kind of modify this. So if it was a DMV record, you can just say agent consultant design use any aspect of my claim, file records, yeah, injuries. I mean that would cover it. Let's do this. File records. That'll actually cover it, And let's say to file records. And this should cover everything. So this would actually cover just a general request, like if it was DMV, even school. I mean, you could add something for school. You could say you could say school records, but I think this would cover school as well. So, but since this is an employment case, so remember you can take out that first one if it's not okay. And everything else is good. We got the signature line. We'll take away. You don't want to have an extra space. Like, please don't send out records requests with extra spaces. You know, kind of shows you weren't really reading it, or but it's got to look good, like the whole thing. And I think that covers it. Does everybody? Let me ask, like Okalani, do you understand what I did here with the taking like the employment and then the notice on the just general records request? You get that, Okalani?
Yeah.
Okay, Natalie, is it, you get what I did? You see where to take it out? Because
yeah, I'm on my phone. The screen is kind of small, but I'll look at the documents again.
yeah, but I mean the point, because you guys, I mean Natalie, Kavita, I think you guys, like, I looked back in some records and you guys actually use those notices, and then I don't know how they got taken out, but and then Ian, you understand how I modified this for you, right? Like you see some of the things I did, right? You get it?
Yeah, I was editing a different client packet as I was watching it.
Yeah, no, that's cool. All right. And Geo, you get it, right? Okay, so
Yeah, I got it.
the thing I did with Geo, okay, everybody should start doing, like, all of you guys are advanced enough to do this. And you see where Ian's doing it too. At the end of the second paragraph, and again, well, this is really like Geo and Natalie's kind of thing, holdover from 2020, but add, what the circumstances like indicate, and then try to quote something, even if it's just like that. Like Ian here quoted the Fair Employment and Housing Act. I mean, that's pretty much going to cover all of our shit. But if it's a school case, you know, uh, um, okay, so here we go. And you can find it in the education code. Or, it's usually going to be something related to bullying, failure to address. So we know that it's going to be, I mean, you can see the anti-bullying, but let's look at this. So AB Seth 9 to 11, we know that there's some law out there and we want to address it. So it's AB Seth 9 to 11, which is the anti-bullying law. Okay, well, anyway, you guys, you see how I'm looking for it, right? Like you can see, like we know. Let's look at this one more One more. All right. So California anti-bullying laws. And you can go find it here. But we're just looking for a code or something that names the act. But like with a couple clicks, like you can, oh, here we go. Bullying means, here we go. Yeah, so we'd say, there we go. We got the code. So I'd say something to the effect of, you guys see where I'm writing it right here. So I'd write something like, you know, such and such. Okay, let me do it like this. Or like Giovanni wrote it, the circumstances, Giovanni and Ian and Natalie, the circumstances indicate that James Cook Law Group School may be in violation of California Education Code. You got to spell it out. Don't just put CA. So if it was a school case, we'd do something like that, okay? At the end of the second paragraph. So I was just trying to make the point with that. So you always want to look for that. And everybody should, all you guys, including you coming back, Zakaya, like you've done a bunch of these. So now you know like what the standard is, all right? The standard set by these guys. And just remember to do that. And Okalani, as you're going through, remind people to, do that. The circumstances indicate, whatever it is, for whatever applies. Probably a lot of them are going to be this because it's employment, but if it's school or some other shit, it's going to be bullying most of the time. And that's it. So I'll send this out to everybody, but I just want to make sure we're all on the same page. Is anybody confused by any of this? Does that help? And we'll go over some other ones that aren't related to, like Ian's got a bunch of different ones. So we'll use some of those, and Natalie has this one for Chatter Fitzhugh. We're gonna do a new one for her, and that should probably help because it's a little bit different, I think. But you just gotta customize it. So now instead of taking you guys 10 minutes, this might take you 11 minutes or 12 minutes to complete this. Just now you know where to look, okay?